Hello there, it's Naga here once again to talk to you today about the Nintendo Switch. What better time to do an episode on this than several days late, right out of a mini cold, possibly still coughing a little bit. Hey, I am a master of timing. Also, there's some people doing construction work for a complete asshole nearby, so you might hear some whumps and, thuds. That is completely not a sex torture dungeon I have, and it's not prisoners trying to escape, don't worry. Right, so the Nintendo Switch. Hey, the reveal trailer for me was quite amazing. It got me excited. I had high hopes for it. I was curious what Nintendo would do with this thing, and I was sort of hoping to see what the Wii U should have been a little bit. But as time went on and rumors started coming out, well, I started getting more worried, and then the recent reveal just sort of solidified it. I've lost all interest in the machine almost instantaneously. And just the more I think about it, the more I'm seeing parallels between the Switch and the Wii U, which to me says a lot about its fate already. Now, as I do my remembrance bit in writing the script I'm reading off of, Hello Myself from the Past, it's, I was struggling to come up with good points for the machine versus the bad points. I don't intend to rag on Nintendo this much. They're in my bad books with the rampant corporate greed they're doing recently, but, sorry. So good points for the Wii U, the Nintendo Switch is that it is reasonably priced. Yeah. I not much you can say about that. It's not too expensive, okay. It'll let you play away from your TV. Okay. Yeah. If you're doing something that demands your attention, if you're called to do the laundry when you're playing, you can just hit pause and then come back and play again. With the Switch, now you can hit pause and take it with you and not do anything while you do the laundry. Do you see my point here? You're doing the same thing, but now you don't need the TV. So it's a little bit... Promised sequels to some prior hit games coming, like Splatoon 2. That, I've never played Splatoon. It's not one for multiplayer usually, so I can't comment on it, but people love it, so more of what people love is, there's a good thing. Regen locking is finally not a thing in a Nintendo console. Yes, in this day and age, Nintendo has finally learned that regen locking is absolute bloody bogus. Welcome to the fold years after everyone else. Now we go on to the much more extensive list of bad points, and these are chiefly my considerations on why not only will I not get a Switch any time during its life cycle, but why most people shouldn't either. It's, for starters, when I said reasonably priced, yes, for a console. On the other hand, for the price, you get a very, very weak machine. In terms of pure power, it is basically useless. It is a crippled joke. It might have enough power like a PS3, slightly more perhaps, and that came out quite a while ago. So, not good. You're not going to be able to do massive, technically impressive games because the hardware isn't there to allow for gigantic seamless worlds quite the same way. It can still be done, but it'll either be full of compromises, or it'll look like crap, or it'll be smaller. And there's something to be said here for having a weak machine but still doing well. I'll come to that point in a bit. The price of the accessories is stupidly high. $50 for one fucking controller. Like, if your 4-year-old chucks it out the window and it breaks, that's $50. If you need an extra pair for some reason, that's $80 or something. Nintendo, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? This is embarrassing. That's not even the main thing. I think is it comes, the Joy-Con bits don't come with a rechargeable grip controller. They'll just grip. You won't be able to charge them with it. You have to seat it in the dock manually. A charging grip will set you back about $30. So good on you, Nintendo. Bring that value. Nintendo has also finally started doing what Sony and Microsoft have been doing with their premium service for years, if not generations now. they're going to start charging, and we don't know the pricing yet, and you'll have a free trial throughout the fall or the summer. I mean, spring or fall or some. I'm sorry, yeah, early this year there'll be a free trial run. The fun bit about this is that you get, with this premium service, you get one NES or SNES game to play for 1 month, and then you have to buy it. So they're gonna start charging you money for a service that was somehow free for 10 years, right? And then they are going to give you an insulting pittance of a game that's gonna, probably going to be awful. It's gonna be, I don't know, something. I never had a SNES or SNES, but Bubble Fight, maybe, whatever it's called. Balloon Fight. And then you have to buy it. So what exactly am I paying you the monthly fee for? I know that your network suddenly has upkeep costs after 10 years, but guys, there's a better way to do this. There's actual incentives you could be offering. And I didn't write this down in my script, but there's another point I'll come out to. In fact, I'll probably do it right now, because I'll forget. It's I think Nintendo, with the Amiibo launching, was actually training you or poking you to see how far you'd go with money-grubbing tactics. My roommate got the Wind Waker Wii U bundle. That also happened to come with a... no, that was Twilight Princess. It came with an Amiibo. Twilight Princess Special Edition was really cheap, so we grabbed it. And it came with an Amiibo. And all it does is open up a really short, nondescript Who Cares dungeon. But it was 10 or 15 pounds more expensive than just the regular version. So what are you paying for? Because it does not, 10, 15 pounds does not represent a fifth to a fourth of a game. The games over here cost 50 to 60 pounds, and 60 pound ones are the really asshole games that think they're posh. So you're being asked to pay anywhere from a fourth to a sixth of the price of a new game for literally maybe half an hour's content. But last I checked, Twilight Princess was not a 3-hour game. It proportionally, you're not getting your money's worth. And you have a little statue, a little display. Yes, but sorry about that. But I can just as easily display anything else. I can get a second-hand, used, bound, whatever Amiibo for a £1 whole if I look really hard enough. So to me, Amiibos represent just this non-value, this extra tacked-on thing that they're training you to like. And the business practices that they're doing, and the point that ties this to the Switch is the shortage of, the Amiibos had a disgusting shortage of some of them, causing their prices to skyrocket. Well, who did that benefit? Of course it benefited Nintendo. Of course it benefited Nintendo. Switch is much the same, even though, and I'm reading from the end of the script because this was a point, this point is that it was, despite being promised that there would be no supply shortages, guess what? There are supply shortages for the fucking pre-order of the Switch. They're still doing it. They're doing the NES Mini. They're doing the Amiibos. Nintendo is on this like crack. It cannot stop exploiting its fucking user base, and it's pissing me off. On top of everything else, sideline the mini rant within the mini rant. The Switch is going to start with 32 gigabytes of basic storage. Okay, so most civilized games in this era start at 10 gigabytes. Start at 10. The installation size for the Switch version of Zelda Breath of the Wild has been said to be 40% of that starting capacity. Also, that starting capacity probably includes an operating system, so it's actually going to be less than 32 gigabytes already anyway. So have fun with one game taking up half or over half of your hard drive. Oh, but, you can buy an SD card to expand it. Yes, but you shouldn't have to. You can go to McDonald's and you can buy a ketchup to make your burger tastier, but you don't have to. Except where a plain burger will do most people just fine, you sort of have to pay for this. And it's not like SD cards are tremendously expensive, but when your fucking controller costs $50 each, when your fucking console costs $300 each, and you don't provide a charge grip, I'm going to have to browbeat you a tiny bit on this, Nintendo. Because this this is their design philosophy, is cheap. Why can the other two major competitors have internal hard drives? And they're not amazing internal hard drives either. Hard drives are so stupidly cheap today that to incorporate one into the Wii U would have been literally no money. It would have cost less than $30 extra to add, I don't know, 512 gigabytes. And that's a more reasonable size. For the Nintendo, which cannot have as big, as huge sprawling titles with quite as beautiful textures that are that big, that might have been fine. I think 512 would have done the average gamer / mum quite well with the 1 gigabyte option. Excuse me, that would have been fine for most people. 1 terabyte. And I don't like this. I wasn't happy with it on the Vita, but the Vita had a beautiful touchscreen and a strong-looking initial library to make that excuse for itself. Poor Vita. So it's not exactly, this next point isn't exactly the launch event itself, but many companies have already said that their Switch games, a lot of which are ports, are either not happening at all or are getting delayed. Does this sound familiar to anyone else? 5 launch games, only one of which is worth looking at. Breath of the Wild is the one that looks solid, and, I want to play it. But it's got a Wii U version that's also cheaper, and for being a worse version, the sounds will be lower quality. Ooh. Yeah, that'll make me buy a $300 console, you idiots. Just Dance, who gives a shit? 1-2 Switch, it looks like stupidity on a stick. Skylanders, who cares? And Bomberman, I can't say anything about Bomberman because I played a rip-off of it. I don't know if anyone of you remembers encountering something called Dynablaster on the DOS. It was a reskinned Bomberman port / clone / rip-off. I've played some of other Bomberman games. I don't, they're fun for like 10 minutes, but then you've done what you've got to do, and it's just like fighting games. So the launch lineup is standing on the one very strong leg, but yeah, we don't know what Breath of the Wild will actually play like. It looks amazing, and I hope it'll be amazing, because I will pick it up for the Wii U, but I'm not sort of happy with this attempt. They could have done better, I think. Nintendo's recent and deliberate understocking of items to drive prices and/or demand up is present with the Switch pre-orders, as I've said, despite being specifically told that there would be no supply issues. So they're making this console, it's new and it's hip and it's hype and it's priced alright, but not for what you get. And yet you can't get it despite being told that you could easily get it. Don't poo on your customer's face, Nintendo. It will not end well. I have a last section that I included after a sudden realization. This last section is called Wii U Similarities. Okay, you ready with me? Let's play bingo, everyone. So the main for these next points, consider the Switch as the Wii U, and I will... Every point I mention is a point of duality I've noticed between the machines. That is to say, they're very much like one another. I don't know why that took 30 seconds, I'm sorry. So the main selling point between the two machines is that it's a gimmick. The selling point of both machines, the main selling point is that it is a gimmick. Right? It's nice to have, but it is not necessary. Excuse me again. Said gimmick is, in fact, the exact same thing. Switch to another display at any time. That's the gimmick. And I know that the Switch actually has... the battery thing where you can take it away and you can play Skyrim on the toilet. That's going to be becoming a meme. I hate memes. But if you look at it fundamentally, both of the things are, you can play this without the TV. Okay. So you've just released the same machine, but now you can take it at, 100 feet further away. Woohoo! I don't fully understand why this isn't a handheld, but, alright. Major companies promise all sorts of support for the console before launch to help early adoption, but either never intending to do so, or seeing abysmal features or sales projections pull out one by one, leaving games and ports to just not happen. We're already seeing this with various delays and non-cooperation announcements coming from certain companies and or with certain titles. So I can't cite any specific examples because in my infinite brilliance I've just put down this paragraph without any examples, but Googling will reveal to you, the specific games in question. Both consoles are deliciously underpowered so that it can only stand up to the big consoles artistically. Now, this is the point I mentioned earlier about having a weak console, is that weak is fine. Weak just means you can't have as big a game world and you can't be as ambitious. You do not have the sort of leeway and legroom that you would on a quote-unquote a proper console. But I am absolutely not against vivid colors, lively, color-filled environments where there is teeming with life and it looks realistic in a way that life realistic, not picture realistic. I'm actually quite happy to see that rare, vibrant game pop up now and then, but this limits Nintendo's options. With a strong console, you could have done both, because art direction is a learned thing. If you could attract the correct developers to the correct platform, you would have had both. So this is still a step down for the Switch, and the Wii U was much the same. Underpowered, had to rely on non-graphical but artistical fidelity. Finally, the Wii U launch capacity was 8 gigabytes. That was 2012. The Switch, launching in 2017, 5 years later, is 32 gigabytes. That is abysmal. 5 years ago, the 8 gigabyte wasn't acceptable. 32 gigabytes 5 years later is still pretty insulting. At that size, I could put Windows on it, and that's fine. If that was an actual hard drive, I couldn't do much else with it. I'd have a few gigabytes left over, but for what? The rampant internet porn? I mean, this is abysmal. This is insulting. I don't like that both consoles launched with just no effort. The Wii U wasn't even really announced or hinted at. People thought it was the Wii, but updated or something. Wii update, yeah, Wii U. What effort, what money does it take to get a fucking hard drive in 2017 in your alleged games console? I don't know. I don't know why they haven't done it, and it's pissing me off. Just, the average user might not care, Mum might not care, and she might play the Super Mario games, but for the people who are actually gamers and not just hobby gamers or whatever, I don't want to draw lines in the sand, but the distinctions have to be made, so you know what I'm talking about. It's people like me care. I'm not expecting them to stand up to the Xbox or the PlayStation, because frankly it can't. If Nintendo ever made a console like that, it would be overpriced. Sorry. I don't understand. Just what are they thinking? They have, as of recently, they did the amoeba poking, and then they started copyright takedown notice spamming YouTube. For every bit of Nintendo content on YouTube is now subject to their attempt to monetize it, even though they have zero rights to. Nintendo, learn this. You have zero rights to monetize content that benefits your fucking company. All the way to... look at this. Okay, I made this last point because look at the Wii U 5 years ago. That was designed to be a cheap piece of shit. We admit it now because we know what we're getting, but it is a cheap piece of shit. The screen wasn't even that beautiful. The controller was a little bit weird. It felt fine, but yeah, there are details. But at the heart and soul of it, it was designed to be cheap and affordable. So it runs like shit. So it can't do exactly the other things the other consoles can, and it can't even compare, frankly, performance-wise. That is a net negative in my eyes, because while I'm not all about horsepower, it is nice to have the sort of capacity being there if you need it for whatever reason. Now, being a cheaply made system is going to relegate this thing to a port machine as well. People are going to fill it with all sorts of cheap garbage games if and when it does eventually get opened up, jailbroken, whatever the term is for this, is going to be interesting, because that's when the shovelware is going to start flooding in hard. I love the DS. I haven't had a DS until the longest time, and I think my first thing was a 3DS, I'm not sure. But look at the digital library. It is mostly shovelware. And a lot of that is releases as well. You know, the good ones are re-releases. So you'll have the Ace Attorney games from the DS you can play on the 3DS, and individually they're good, wonderful games. But you can't say they're made for the 3DS. You cannot say that that is a game for the system. They just so happened to find it compatible and then they ported it. It is more no effort. And that's not to say I'm not, that's not to say I am against a big open library of past games that you may have bought that you want to still play in this day and age. I get nostalgia strikes for FF7 sometimes, but just, I wish Nintendo stopped trying to make a cheap shit console with a gimmick and made a console that had actual power enough to garner actual support and put out actual fucking games. Because the Wii U never interested me until the roommate picked up the bundle with Wind Waker, which I've never played, which was the sole reason for that bundle, in hindsight. I am slightly sad that he has done so, because at this point, with this offering, Nintendo does not deserve my support. They do not deserve my money. They do not deserve my trust. They are being dodgy as fuck, and I'm hoping that in the near future, they'll stop. Because as big as Nintendo is, and we do owe a huge portion of the video game crash being averted to them, times have significantly changed, and if they can't keep pace, maybe they should try something else. Historically, Nintendo's handhelds have been amazing without fail. I don't know if the Virtual Boy counts. You could hold it in your hand, you'd just be pretty stupid to do so. It wasn't a proper handheld as much as it was a tent-based camping headache device, I suppose. But, the Game Boy comes out, oh, that was great, you can play here. Oh, now it's got Color. Oh, now it's got Pokemon. Oh, now it's got Game Boy Advance. And then the DS hit, and that just printed fucking money for them. Now, 3DS is a very solid little machine. It's also quite weak in terms of the competitor, but it is delivering fun games. I have had so much fun with Fire Emblem, not Fates, I'm about to play that, Fire Emblem Awakening, the Pokemon games, the other stuff. I'm looking at a list of my games, slightly cheating. The Link Between Worlds, that was a Zelda game that was refreshing because you had a less restricted dungeon progression. You had a more free-form choice over what you've done, and the duality there was explored quite nicely. They should stick to handhelds. Everyone's all about, the mobile gaming. Why not? It's a market. It's not a good market, the mobile gaming, but it's a market, and Nintendo certainly has the pedigree to put out a handheld and still keep its head high and say, we've got a handheld for you. Have fun, enjoy it. This is the feature. Just don't make it about some gimmicky shit. Like, don't make a pedometer that works on it by being thrown, so you have to throw the console to fucking get a pedometer ranking so you can get a prize in some game. No, just stop it, Nintendo, stop. Release functional machines for gameplay. That is all that people expect of you. If it has Netflix capability, fine. If it can play some older games, fucking fine. But don't, for the fucking love of God, do a Switch again. Don't do a Wii U again. To summarize, I'm really not happy with the Switch's launch after having had time to examine it. I feel ashamed that the initial reveal trailer suckered me in as hard as it did. I fell for marketing. I did not fall for a product. I fell for calculated, person-exploiting marketing. And I'm ashamed of that. And now that the actual data's come out for me to look at, I'm really happy that I looked at it. Because I would have hated to own this machine. About the only thing I want to play on it so far, Breath of the Wild, I'll just get on the Wii U, which I already sadly own, and where it is cheaper for basically no discernible version difference. I think this will be another Wii U. I think it will stagnate and never take off the ground and fail miserably. Because while the Wii U was also, this is the Wii U of the new generation, the actual Wii U didn't have supply shortages when it came out as far as I can tell. Which might be, because nobody bought the damn thing. But You know, they're doing worse in a new generation, years later, with new hardware, and all the time to have learned from their mistakes, and they're repeating the fucking mistakes! This is a big, multi-billion-dollar company, for fuck's sake. But the only mistake they're not repeating is that they're advertising the Switch and trying to get people in there as hard as they can with just the marketing. I'm sorry. I don't want to hate Nintendo as much as I do, but when people, and especially corporations, treat you with this amount of shadiness and mistrust and just pussyfooting around an issue, I have to raise an eyebrow and be on guard. That's just how I am. After the recent failure of the Star Fox game and the insult reveal of the Metroid game, I don't know, frankly, if Nintendo will be here in 10 years. They seem to have lost absolute touch with all their consumers. It sucks. I haven't had a Nintendo console for the longest time, until I was like 25. It's just never happened. I didn't avoid them. It just never happened. But I do know of their role and how important they are, and I have played many Nintendo games since then, and they're usually quite fun, enjoyable experiences. Gaming as a whole would be poorer for the loss of Nintendo, but the slippery slope now, it's on a slippery slope, and it has been looking at it with the Amiibos and slightly earlier. I don't mean to be so doom and gloom, but all I can do is hope that they unfuck themselves and they realize what a terrible idea this is. They should revamp the actual console features here and there, but primarily a big start would be the quote-unquote premium service that isn't premium. Their premium service equates to, toilet paper when you need it. This is a thing that needs to exist. Stop gating it off. But since you have to gate it off, because there are upkeep costs, and I'm aware of that, don't fucking insult people by pretending that you're giving them value, which is temporary and non-value. Like, if you think people want to pay several pounds for a 30-year-old fucking game, you are horribly mistaken, Nintendo. Well, this was Chill Naga having a good rant at Nintendo's expense. I am really sorry if I pissed anyone off. I'd rather be honest than pander to a lie. And I think, in all honesty, that the Switch is going to fail tremendously. Well, have a good day, everyone.